I'm immigration lawyer Mark Northam.
And I'm registered migration agent Monica Gruszka.
And in this week's episode of Coming to Oz, we'll talk about the skilled visa points test and common mistakes people make and how you can avoid them to make sure you have the best chance at a visa.
So stay tuned.
Welcome to Coming to Australia with Mark Northam and Monica Gruszka, the show for people looking to get a visa and come to Australia. We'll talk about the latest Australian immigration regulations, strategies for getting visas and much more, including your questions. Information discussed on Coming to Australia is not intended as legal advice or immigration assistance and is current as of the date of the show's production. However, as migration law frequently changes, you should always refer to updated information. And now, from Sydney, the hosts of Coming to Australia, immigration lawyer Mark Northam and registered migration agent Monica Gruszka.
I'm Mark Northam.
And I'm Monica Gruszka.
And welcome to Coming to Oz. This is the show where we show you how to increase your chances of being approved for a visa for Australia.
Yes.
We show you perhaps some mistakes to avoid, some things to do, and anything we can help share from our experience as immigration agents and lawyers and all the stuff we do during the day, every day.
Exactly.
To help people. We're here to help you.
Absolutely. Now, we've got a really good topic today. We get a lot of clients coming in regarding the points test.
Yes, for skilled visas.
Yes, so just to remind everyone, anything that's points tested is for a skilled visa.
Yes, that's right. The skilled visas, of course, are the subclass 489 visa and the 189 and the 190. So there are three of them.
That's right.
Now, we don't have we're not going to go into all the aspects of the points test because that would take longer than we have today.
That's right.
But what we thought we might talk about is let you know a little bit about what it is and some common mistakes to avoid.
So if you're going to do your own points test draft, this is a good episode for you to watch.
That's it.
Yes.
So if you're looking at a skilled visa, you have to have your skills assessment and English language test results in hand before you can lodge an expression of interest.
Exactly.
Yep.
The biggest mistake people make is they lodge an expression of interest without having completed a skills assessment or a positive skills assessment.
Yep.
So you cannot lodge an expression of interest without that being positive.
Yep, they ask for the number, and you don't want to do that before.
That's it.
For lots of reasons. Now, one of the first things people do when they look at a skilled visa is to look at the points test and see how they score, and you can see that we'll put a link on the show notes here, and you can see that on the Immigration Department website. And this is a test where you get a certain number of points depending on your age and your work experience and other factors like that.
Absolutely. Now, Mark, I think what's really important to note is the 489 visa versus the 190 points test as well.
Yep.
The different levels of points that you can have. So the 489, what's the entry level for the points there?
Well, the current pass mark for all skilled visas is 65 points.
Yes.
Now, for the 489 visa, which is a skilled provisional visa that is either state-sponsored or sponsored by a family member in some cases, you have to score 55 points on your own on the points test. If you're then approved by the state you want to have sponsor you, they will add 10 points to get you up to 65 points.
Which is wonderful. So that's where the regional is very attractive.
Yep. The 190 is the other state-sponsored skilled visa. Now, that's a permanent visa. And on that one, you have to get 60 points on your own. If you're approved for sponsorship by the state, they will add on another 5 to get you up to 65
Not
if you're
bad.
not already there.
That's exactly right. Not bad.
Yep. And the 189 visa is a independent skilled permanent visa. And that you need to have 65 points on your own. And there's a lot of competition for people on that one. Many times you have to have 70 or 75 to even have a chance of being invited to apply for a visa.
That's right. So basically the 189, the skilled independent, is a visa where you could live anywhere.
Yep, no restrictions geographically speaking.
That's right, but with the 190 means if it's state-sponsored, then you're obliged to be in the state that you have been offered the invitation.
For the first 2 years after you come.
That's exactly right. So, Mark, what are the most common mistakes people do when they're calculating?
Well, Monica, I'll throw in a few of mine. You do a few of yours too.
I
for
shall.
what we see with clients.
Yes.
One thing that's very important is that the expression of interest, including all of your claims for points, are locked at the time of invitation. And the time of invitation will come with no advanced warning. So if you have claims for work experience that you don't have enough documentation for, don't put them in there, or put them in there and mark the work experience as not relevant to your occupation. By marking it not relevant, the EOI system will not include points for that work experience, and therefore you won't end up with a claim for points you may not have all the documentation to meet.
That's exactly right. Because when you do get an offer from the state, they will tell you you must have all the documents ready to go when you submit.
And the state wants that, as well as the immigration department.
Of course,
so each
because
state has their own thing for that.
That's right. And then that's the nomination in hindsight.
Yep, that's it. So a big mistake is not having your skills assessment or not having all your work experience documents. Because if you're claiming work experience for points, and that's the fastest and most common way to run into trouble, is to claim work experience without being able to prove it. In some cases, that means every pay slip you've received for the entire period of work you're claiming, plus an employer reference letter.
Also, your employment contract is worth a lot when it comes to the weight to include in the points test system. So basically, payee, tax returns, pay slips, references. If you have all of them, you're going to cement the points that you're claiming.
Yep. And for work experience, again, especially in certain countries that are considered high risk, don't be surprised if immigration picks up the phone and calls your ex-employer, or even shows up for a site visit unannounced and starts asking them about you. Make sure you've alerted them that they may be contacted by immigration, and make sure that call gets routed to the right person if it comes that knows about your work experience.
How many cases have we had, Mark, where people announce a point or certain points for an employer that no longer exists, and immigration will call up, especially for high-risk countries. So we're talking about India.
And India's at the top of the list in terms of them checking out work experience. I don't know why.
Exactly. And if the person no longer works there, the case officer is going to go, well, you know what? If they don't know you, it's all a lie.
What might be worse is they might accuse you of putting in false information, which could lead to a refusal based on a part of the law called PIC 4020, which means a 3-year ban from Australia.
Now, if you get a 3-year ban, who knows if you're ever going to come back, because it's at the case officer's discretion.
Yep. Yes. So that's something you want to keep an eye on. Any work you claim for points, make sure you include lots of documentation, and make sure the employer is ready to be checked out.
Now, another point is the Australian study requirement.
Yep.
This can be very tricky.
Yep.
Now, tell us your experience on the Australian study requirement.
Well, the Australian study requirement used to be a simpler thing to determine. Essentially, they're looking for you to have a degree, from a qualification from Australia, and they must have taken at least 2 years. That's 92 weeks per the CRICOS website.
Yeah, CRICOS, exactly.
CRICOS. We're going to do that again, aren't we?
Yes, CRICOS.
That's it. So it has to be rated for that, and you have to have taken at least a year and a half to complete that. You can't just do it in 6 months.
That's right.
Now, there are a lot more ifs, ands, and buts, so you're going to want to check that out.
Exactly. Yes. One of the things I want to mention is if you are finishing and looking to apply for a 485 also, something I want to tag in here.
Skilled graduate visa.
Skilled graduate visa, and you are doing a 92-week CRICOS course, make sure you apply for the 485 within 6 months of the date of completing the degree, not when you graduate.
That's it.
Big point to note.
Big thing. And we're going to do a show, I think, coming up on the 485 visa. There's so many pitfalls to that thing. That's a show in itself.
You've got time of decision and time of application requirements, and for the 485, it is completely opposite to most other visas.
That's right.
It's a landmine.
Yep.
Yes.
What else on the points test? Anything else you see that other than work experience documentation, the Australian study requirement?
You know what? The best way to gain bonus points is your English.
That's it.
Because you can't change your work experience, your time, but you have the ability to prove that your English is either level 7, for example, in IELTS, or level 8. Now, if we're just using IELTS for an example, but you have, PTE, TOEFL, Cambridge, the other ones, if you get a level 7, it's 10.
Extra points.
Extra points. If you get a level 8, it is
20 extra points.
If you fail short on work experience, whether or not it's overseas or in Australia, and you're wanting to push the points, your best opportunity is to get up on your English scores because that is what you can control.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that's, to me, I think is a big thing. What is the other way you can get extra points? What happens if you have a partner?
Well, if you have a partner and that partner has a positive skills assessment for an occupation on the same list as yours.
That is very important.
And meets the minimum English requirement of 6 overall.
Correct, if we're referring to IELTS.
I should say 6 on each band.
Yes.
And that partner meets the age requirement, then you can get 5 extra points there. You can do a community credentialed language.
You can become a NAATI translator and get another 5 points.
5 points there.
Exactly. So there are all these additional ways that you can bump up your points. Now, when you lodge an expression of interest, you are basically going into the system and you're sitting there for a significant period of time. The best thing is you can always add to the points. So don't think that what you put in on the day is it. If you get a level 7 and you're sitting on 70 points and you're an engineer and you need maybe 80, well, why not
pop it in?
But also get your IELTS up to a level 8, add it up, that puts you up in 10 points and you are ready to go.
Well, those are some of the reasons and some of the things that you can do to avoid mistakes and to increase your points test score. If you have any questions about the points test, please drop us an email. We have links on the show page. You can send it to us at info@migrationresources.com.au, or we have our own links on the web page in different places there. So we're easily found on the web.
Absolutely.
And,
happy to answer your questions as well.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. Well, Mark,
another show.
Another show completed. We look forward to seeing you again next time.
We'll see you next week. Thanks so much.
Bye.